last left off, the characters had completed their shopping at Marius Lapel's Wondrous Wares and planned their next course of action in the middle of Redstone Shopping District. A mechanical griffin the size of a dog flew towards the group and landed, greeting Nicholas. A voice emitted from the construct's mouth, asking the rogue questions about his current mission. A hatch then opened on its chest area of the construct, and Nicholas retrieved some equipment from the Shadow Network. Samael and Zara both received paper-bird messages a short time later from Zara's patron in the Sovereign Towers district. The note requested that the paladin escort the vassal of Dol Arad to the pavilion of the host. Once there, a ceremony of transference would commence in regards to the weapons Samael retrieved from the City of the Dead. The group agreed to head to Sovereign Towers first, summoning the friendly Warforged flying coach driver, Mr. R. Siegfried and the party then discovered that the Warforged was currently without an employer, and was unable to continue to collect fares legally within the city. The group then offered Mr. R the opportunity to possibly work for them, with some reluctance from Byron. The party then headed to the temple, and Zara met High Priest Thasso Mogan in the middle of the temple courtyard. The weapon was presented as a test, shocking Zara at first due to Samael still owning the item. The relic was then transferred to Zara, who had a brief vision of warm sunlight and heard a voice in her head, promising to protect her and her companions from hidden threats. After the ceremony was over, the party began flying towards the cliffside ward, narrowly avoiding a mid-air collision with another sky coach. As the characters sat down in Sharn's welcome, the red light district of Cliffside, they began approaching the boarded-up manor on Trollskull Alley. After a brief encounter with Byron's father, who was discovered working on a nearby Everbright lantern, the party began to approach the manor. The group inspected the ground floor, finding layers of dust and broken furniture. And the characters continued to explore, taking a look in the cellar just below the tap room. What followed was a series of eerie events involving strange messages left on furniture and an exploding cask of wine that had turned into vinegar. The group discovered a spirit in the tap room. After conversation with Nicholas and Siegfried, the group determined that the spirit meant them no harm at the moment. The ghost then floated through the ceiling towards the upstairs, leaving behind a bit of ectoplasm as it went. The party followed the ghost upstairs to the living space above the tap room, and they discovered that the spirit was that of Lif, the previous barkeeper for the establishment. The group assured Lif of their intention to renovate and reopen the tavern. Their new specter friend then began detailing the steps the characters should take next in order to accomplish this goal. Y'all stand around the table. Samael, now having a disembodied floating cloth being brushed against his face, drying off the bit of water that cascaded from the bucket that was dumped on his head.
I'm not entirely comfortable with this.
The towel, once finished, begins floating away from you and wrings itself out into the bucket that was once poured over your head.
Samael.
I just get the feeling that it's not really cleaning me off as much as it is winding up for another shot.
Well, there might be a way to fix that.
How so?
If we put
By
your
maybe
name on the...
not trying to beat the house with your hand.
And perhaps, well, long term, putting your name on the deed of the house and, well, maybe it'll like...
I do not need the like of a house.
I mean, you were saying you're going to take a shower here every night anyway, so you might as well just say you're living here. It's fine.
Yes, but I have a place at the church.
How about this? We could possibly, for both of your deities, maybe make a shrine for both of you, or something of the sorts around here, and then you could say that you living on the side of the house, possibly as a guardian of said shrine.
Well, I really think we need to make some of the local guild master. So
That
set
sounds
up
more
some type of
sensible.
donation network would be good.
That sounds highly sensible to me. I'm all for going out and making friends. Is there anybody in particular you think we should aim for first?
Well, I do have a counselor friend that has his hand in many things in this area. This is this.
You talking about Councilman Harut?
Yeah, we've been friends since we were just wee little lads, and my family is only a couple blocks over. I'm sure they could come over and help clean and get this place started at least. Maybe save some of the cost.
The more I learn about you every single day, the more I'm surprised, Byron. You never mentioned you were friends with Councilman Harut when we first met.
Well, we gotta keep that on the low end because it's not good for me to flaunt who I know. I respect him. I help him when I can, and we hang out and have a beer every once in a while, talk about life.
That's good. I like that. Well said, Byron.
Zara, as you are standing around the table listening to the back and forth between Samael and Byron, you start hearing a tapping noise coming from one of the windows just behind Nicholas.
Nicholas, look behind you. There seems to be something near the window.
I look behind.
Nicholas, you see what appears to be a bird made of paper, similar to the one that you saw earlier in the day that flew to Samael and Zara. And it's currently tapping against the window as if it's trying to get in.
I'll open up the window, lift the latch up, and open the window up. I think it's a little bird trying to get in. Like paper. Never seen this before. Up earlier. Kind of strange.
The paper bird flies over your head, Nicholas, and does a few figure eights in the air, and then nosedives down towards Samael, thumping against his chest.
I'm getting really tired of animated, inanimate objects.
It's kind of cute, though. You got to admit. Quite cute.
It then lands in your open hands and transforms into a pentagonal piece of paper with a very familiar crest on it. Very familiar to you, Samael. It is the crest of the Silver Flame.
All right, suddenly what is it else to say?
Samael. Uza Zolisef is an old woman who sells books out of an old two-story building near Harris Folly. She claims to have trapped a monster in her bookshop and fears for the welfare of her books and her cat. The City Watch isn't likely to lend a hand, given Uza's propensity for tall tales, but the Silver Flame owe her a favor. You'll find her sobbing at Gelf's House of Cheddar in the Bazaar. Make haste.
Guys, we might have an emergency on our hands. This is from my church. It says here that there's a lady that's connected with our church who might have trapped a monster inside of her house. She fears for her own personal safety, and Siegfried, you'll find this especially important, the safety of her cat. I think we should go take a look at this. She's over at Gelf's House of Cheddar now.
Whoa, hang on a moment. One, yes, cat, protect. But two, if she's at the cheddar, what does she have to worry about? Cheese ails every need.
Does she have a cat there with her? What if the cat's home alone with the monster?
Let's go.
Let's get out of here. Move.
All right.
I hope this pays well.
I should hope so as well. But if not, well, we'll have to make up for it somehow.
I look over to Byron and I look him in the eyes. What if it was your young child, displacer cub, all alone in a bookstore with a monster?
I'd hope you'd eat it.
That would be fairly impressive, yes.
But remember, he can hardly hit anything yet. He's still so young and
He's just cute and cuddly right now.
and you wouldn't want anything to happen, right?
Well, we'll go find out.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Get out of here.
All right, so you're all exiting the tavern.
Well, Samael's jumping out the window.
Awesome.
30
The
feet down.
superhero landing.
The direct route. I love it.
How many bones does it break?
Let's find out. Make a Constitution save.
Sure. Give me 1 second.
Zara's going towards the window to watch. Yeah.
You are now a paraplegic.
Oh, I'm not. Not a 15.
Hey, that's where he tried to parasail.
All right. So you're all heading out of the tavern now. How would you like to get back to the Bazaar district? It's located in Middle Dura.
Mr. R?
Hey,
I think it would be nice if we could just magically teleport there.
wouldn't it be?
I mean, since you did ask.
So as
I can
you
get us there pretty quickly.
We have fireplaces. Can we just go into fireplaces and throw some black dirt on the ground?
I
that could,
prefer fingers.
maybe if you find yourself a nice wizard, high level wizard, he might be able to give you some teleportation abilities of some sort.
Ooh.
But I digress. So as you head outside of the tavern, you see the familiar sight of Mr. R, who is currently brushing down his Pegasi. Well, hello, my friends, and future employers, hopefully. What can I do for you?
We need to get to Gel's House of Cheddar with great haste, actually.
Oh, it's Middle Dura. Yeah, I can get you there, no problem. That's all. If you'll all just step inside of the carriage.
Good man, good man. Thank you.
There was a gentleman who was outside not too long ago. He wanted to speak with one of you, but I don't think he's around anymore. He only stayed for a short moment, and he left in quite a huff.
Was he holding a torch?
He was not holding a torch, sir. So, Samael, I believe he was from one of the businesses here in the alley.
Did
You
he say
remember-
in particular?
I'm sorry, what did you say, sir? It's so loud here out on the street, I didn't hear you.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was just saying, did he say which business?
No, he was inquiring about the tavern, wanting to know who had purchased the tavern. I told him, of course, that I said that he should speak to you, and I gave all of your names. I hope that was all right.
Yes, it's totally fine.
If he comes back, tell him to wait for us. We'll be more than happy to speak with him.
Oh, very well. Well, if you're all ready, I can take you over to Middle Dura right away.
Yes, we're ready. I'm jumping in.
I hop in.
I
Target
get
on.
in as well.
The Pegasi all both sort of chortle and nicker and flap their wings several times and lift up into the air. I apologize for the fog. It's still really thick. I will be as careful as I can. I promise.
Very well. You can only do your best. We expect no less.
Checking around, making sure nothing out of the usual.
I'm sitting next to Siegfried, and I'm going to mention to him, I really do hope this is a false alarm and we're just going over there for no reason.
Yeah, well, as long as the cat is alright, I see no harm in checking it out. Plus, I may pet a kitten. A cuddly little fluffy kitten.
Well,
and he's just...
we know for certain that the kitten is real. We don't know about the monster, but worst case scenario, you get to pet a cat today.
Best case, we'll get to save a cat and pet it, and the cat be eternally graceful.
Exactly.
After a few minutes riding through the air, seeing the familiar sights of various sky coaches passing through, going a bit slower than usual, Zara, as you are looking out through the window, staring out beyond, you see just beyond to the south of Mildura, you see a familiar area where you had encountered the goblins before. And you can see the area where Nicholas had observed a goblin go crashing through a window. And there is a floating sky coach right under the window, and you can see someone is performing repairs to the window.
Welp. And she just kind of chuckles and doesn't say anything.
Siegfried sees her, chuckles, and then he remembers and he scoots over to Zara real quick. Hey, Zara, I took this out of our collective loot just to make sure we didn't accidentally sell it, and I think you could use it to put around your waist a bit, and I hand her the potion of healing I have.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And she, how many pockets does she have on her belt? If she has a belt.
Yeah, we haven't really discussed that. I would just say that you could probably hang at least 2 potions on your belt.
I have a belt of holding.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
Batman's belt, right?
Alright, I've used all my potions, so I clip it on. Although, did I buy those other potions?
I believe I threw them in your inventory.
Okay.
Let me double check.
I put the one I handed you into party loot so you can grab it from there.
Yep, they're in your inventory. Currently located in your backpack.
Alright.
So the sky carriage comes to a rest within the bazaar. The streets and pavilions are all covered in a thick gray fog, and the usual hubbub and general population of the city seem to be hugging the interiors, staying far away from the edges of the bridges that are around the edges of the towers. And you sit down in the familiar square just across the street. You can see Lydia's shop, its familiar form still with the broken sign, and then across from that you see the familiar site of Gelf's House of Cheddar.
I gotta fix that sign.
Yeah, don't worry. Maybe we can fix it with the cheddar we may or may not get from this job.
You can get cheddar, but I want gold.
It's the same. It's the same thing, Nicholas.
It's going to take him up.
Very well, let's head in.
Should we go in all together, or how are we doing this?
Do you want to stay out here and let me go meet with the old lady and then come back out?
If we do that, I'll go in with Samael because we all know how he can be with normal people sometimes.
I was just talking about tactics here.
I do want to take Siegfried with me. She may be upset, and I'm not very good with people that are upset.
Okay.
Will the rest of you join us? Perhaps Zara should join us. She's fairly empathetic.
I guess I'll follow in as well. Listen.
In that case, Byron, you should come as well.
Where's Byron at, anyways?
As you all look around, that you notice that Byron has seemed to disappear.
I'm sure he's where he's needed most. Let's move.
In our hearts, and probably repairing that sign.
As you're approaching the exterior of Gelf's House of Cheddar, you see 2 people arguing in front of a city guard, and you can hear one of them accusing that someone is a changeling. I saw it! Milky white skin, those filthy buggers, coming in from High Walls district. Now they're coming over here. I won't stand for it. We don't need their kind.
Stop and listen.
We don't need their kind around here. Yes, It is not a crime to be a changeling within the Bazaar. You do understand that. I don't care if it's a crime or not. It's not decent. Folk wandering around, in 1 second they're a woman, the next second they're an old man, the next second they're a child, a teenager, begging for cash, running with criminal gangs. Might turn around, the next thing you know, one of them might steal my purse or try to slit my throat. Are you going to look into this or not? Sir, where did you say you saw the changeling? He was heading northeast, over to the tenements. The goblin tenements. The goblin tenements? Yes. That's a wide search area, sir. Okay. I assure you the City Watch will get right on it. If you see anything, please report it right away. One of the watch captains will get back to me. My name is Trevor. What was your name again? My name is Steve. Steve. Okay then. Very well, Steve. Good day to you. I apologize that I wasn't able to help you with your changeling issue. And as he's talking, he sort of scans past the gentleman and he looks your way and just sort of has this look on his face of like, please help me.
Steve, good man. Can I speak with you a moment?
The man turns around with a bit of ire on his face at first, that when he sees this imposing figure in front of him, he says, "What do you... Oh, good God, I apologize. Didn't mean to be so
no problem
rude."
at all, sir. No problem. Noticed that you were having a bit of an issue with the changeling and the watch. My companions and I have had some issues with them as well, particularly one. And I was wondering if you can give me a description of the changeling as he last appeared to you.
Last he appeared, it looked like a damn goblin. But as I was running away, it looked back at me, and I could have swore that its head merged and morphed and turned to that of a child.
A small child?
Yes. It had black hair, and its eyes, they were pitch black. No pupils. I couldn't see anything. And it just laughed at me and smiled and ran away. And
Did
it looked like
steal anything from you?
it looked like it was carrying a bag of some sort. I'm sure it stole from someone. Didn't steal from me personally. I'm just doing my good civic duty as a citizen of Sean to report this sort of thing. You know, those changelings, they run around in gangs and they're part of criminal activity or other disgusting things like down in the red light districts.
Very well, Steve. Thank you for letting us know about this. We'll be sure to keep an eye out for it.
Well, it's my pleasure, sir. I'm always willing to help a member of the church.
Yes, and I'll make sure I warn any citizens I see as well to be sure to keep two hands on the purse in that area.
At this point, you've noticed that the other man that was standing there has wandered off, and so has the city guard.
Well, good day to you, Steve. Make sure you keep an eye out. If you see anything else, let me know.
I will, sir. And what was your name again?
Samael, the Reaper.
Samael the Reaper. Oh, imposing. I will definitely let you know, sir. If I see you again, if I see any activity, I will definitely let you know.
Thanks, Steve. You have a great day.
Oh, thank you, sir. And the man begins walking away. And as you notice, he was wearing, like, finer clothing, like silk shirt. He had some suspenders, red suspenders with buttons on them. And he was an older man with a big, thick, bushy mustache.
Jeremy,
Yes, sir.
during the conversation when Samael was talking with him, I was scanning the area. Was there anyone that was like paying attention or like look out of place?
Just a general scan, or did you want to actually roll perception?
I want to see if I see anyone out of the ordinary that's paying too much attention.
Well, in that case, that would be a perception check. I would say.
Go ahead.
I would say that with a 16, You didn't notice anything in particular other than the two men that were there, the City Watch gentleman and the other gentleman that was standing there. Just the normal passerbys heading by you. You did notice, however, a familiar sight of someone inside of Lydia's shop pressing her face against the window, banging on the glass, and then pointing in your direction.
There's someone in there with her?
And making really obscene gestures at you. Specifically at you.
Oh, Lydia was pointing at me. Okay. But she sees me everywhere.
She's everywhere.
You would also see Siegfried hatefully tightening his fist, but just infinite sorrow filling his eyes and face as he listens on to the hate speech spewed out Steve.
Siegfried, don't pay that any mind, man. I thought it might be one of the changelings we knew, and I was just trying to gather some info.
It matters not. The amount of hate everyone has for each other is saddening to the deepest depths of my heart.
Well, people tend to dislike what they don't understand. It's just normal perception of intelligent creatures. I'm afraid everybody does.
So is this the emergency that your church thought was a dire emergency? Let me go see what the mother-in-law wants.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go on to the end.
All right.
Would you,
Go ahead, Sabrina.
I was gonna say, would you like some company, Byron?
Sure. Maybe you can calm her down. Maybe buy another cupcake.
All right.
We should be careful about splitting the party.
That's a good point. Byron, how about we go right after?
Yeah, we still haven't found out what we need to find out here at the Cheddar House anyways.
Let's get that monster. Let's give it a cupcake.
Byron scratches his head a little bit. Yeah, give me an excuse. Yeah, she can wait. Sure.
As you approach the outer facade of Gelf's House of Cheddar, you see the familiar sight of uniformed individuals. This time, a man and a woman. The woman is of a gnomish stature, and the man is tall and thin and a bit gaunt. And they greet you both with warm smiles. Welcome to the steakhouse. Come right in. And they open the doors wide as you see a much more fuller interior facade than what you remember seeing the other day. It is in full swing. It is approximately 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the late lunch, early dinner crowd is beginning to filter into the House of Cheddar. The gentleman that you saw before, Gelf, the proprietor of the establishment, is nowhere to be seen at the moment, not pacing on the L-shaped bar. You see patrons seated at tables everywhere. And you see servers weaving in and out of patrons, bringing things in and out of the kitchen area.
I'm going to scan the crowd. Do we see the patron that we're looking to meet?
Make a perception check.
No, she's not here.
Samael, scanning the room, you see patrons eating, drinking ale, having conversation, and you see a few individuals at some of the booths that had the devices for wearing on your head. You see people with the devices over their heads, waving their hands around in the air in front of them, and while other amused onlookers watch them.
I'm going to ask Nicholas and Siegfried both to help me take a look around the bar and see if we can't locate her.
Do you remember her name?
I will check the letter and see if it says it.
Her name was Uza Zolazef.
You said Uza Zolafet?
Close enough. I'd say let's walk around and talk to the servers and see if we have anybody that fits the description or the name.
I was just gonna speak up.
Go for it.
Seriously, I could just play my lute, and anyone that's upset and sad would probably come over and hear me play.
You know, in the investigation business, we just go. You said, what was her name?
Uza. Come on.
Uza. Excuse me, anyone named Uza Zalafed?
So you're just yelling that out in the tavern?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You get a couple of strange looks from people. Some servers stop briefly and stare in your direction at your outburst. And over at the bar, a very muscular man, very familiar. He was the server that was so kind to you when you all sat down and had a drink and ate cakes together the other day. And he says, "Oh, looking for Uza?"
Yes, we are. The church is here. She requested.
She's in the back. She's at one of the round tables all the way in the back. It was good to see you all again.
Thank you. You
Good to see
too.
You too.
If you want anything to eat or drink, just let me know.
Perhaps later. Thanks, though.
Very well. And he goes back to serving drinks to other patrons at the bar, which is quite busy at the moment.
I turned to Samuel. See, that's pretty easy.
For the line of work we're in, that also seems counterintuitive, but hey, it works for the situation.
We're on church business right now. We're allowed to be loud. Come on, let's go find her.
As you
I was
head
just about to do the same thing.
through the dining area, all the way to the back, you see an elderly woman seated at a table, and she has a very, very small cup of some sort of wine or substance in it. And she has it cupped in both hands, and she's very, very carefully lifting it up to her face and sipping it. And you can see that her hands are trembling slightly as she puts it back down on the table.
I'll walk over and introduce myself. Hi, I am Samael of the Silver Flame, Paladin of the Church and Executioner. I heard you had a monster that you needed taken care of.
Oh, by the gods! Thank goodness you're here. I've been waiting for hours.
Well, I am here, and I'm ready to take care of whatever your problem is. Could you describe it more thoroughly to us?
Well, of course. Earlier today, as I was setting up for business, I had a strange hobgoblin who walked into the shop, and he was blind, and he was wearing rags, and to be quite honest, he reeked of excrement, and he was looking for a book. I told him that I had many books, and I would need to know a title or a region of origin. And all it would say is that it was looking for books on seals. And then it proceeded to wander the shop, first floor and second floor, for several hours, and wouldn't buy anything. It just kept wandering up and down the aisles. And finally, I asked it to leave. I told it to leave. I told it that it was starting to scare my cat. Philippa was terrified of the creature, and it ran upstairs, and when I told it to leave, it immediately began wrecking the shop. These strange tentacles began writhing from the front of it, and it began chasing my cat upstairs. I fled, and I locked the doors, and I started to seek out the watch.
Siegfried interjects. Do you know if the cat's alright?
I haven't seen Philip. I haven't been back. I locked it.
Quick, you must go at the utmost pace. He also steals a look at Nicholas and mouths, seals?
Let's go. Can you
Nicholas
take us through the
rolled-
house and let us in?
Yes, I can take you there.
Very well. Let's go.
It's at the end. It's at the end of the bazaar. It's just next to the line between the bazaar and Hearth's Folly, the tavern area. district, I guess you could call it. It's where all the taverns moved when Gelf's shop moved in.
Very well. Take us there and let us in, and we'll take care of your goblin problem.
Immediately. And Uza stands up. She leaves some coin on the table, drinks the rest of her drink in one quick gulp, and then begins heading out of the House of Cheddar.
Kind of move next to Nick and say, a weird monster with tentacles asking about seals. I'm investigating something that has to do with the port and water. I don't know, there's a weird connection, but it might be something.
Good points. I guess it's worth investigating more.
Didn't that thing we came across down in the sewer have tentacles on his face?
Indeed he did. I guess we must go at the utmost pace. Let's go.
What I'm trying to do. Let's go.
All right.
So you meet up with Uza outside, and she looks back, sort of up and over and around shoulders of people milling about through the streets and through the bridges, and sees you, and the look of relief on her face as she sees you heading outside of the tavern. She says, "This way, please. Are all these people with you, Sir Samael?"
Oh yeah, we roll deep. Let's do this.
All right, very well. Please follow me. And after about 15 minutes, passing through the crowds, passing along the bridges, feeling the damp of the air, the afternoon air, the fog still thick, which is normal for this time of year, and within the city, amongst the towers, and especially in the springtime. You begin passing beyond the tenements, beyond the shops around the bazaar, and on the edge you begin seeing a few taller buildings, the towers stretching up into the upper parts of the city, and you see several watch all standing around the outside of a building. It's a small building, only 2 stories tall, right in the outside of the tower, close to the edge of the bridge that links Harris Folly and the Bazaar district. And as you begin walking forward, you see one of the watch stops, and it says, "Order right there. This area is closed off."
May we
It's
ask why?
There's been a couple of deaths. We sent a few officers into this building, and unfortunately, they haven't come out yet. We only heard blood-curdling sounds. We were going to summon the guard and just go ahead and storm the building, but they haven't arrived yet.
Well, I'm Samael the Reaper of the Church of the Silver Flame. I'm an executioner of the church, and I'm here on church business to take care of the exact same problem. I also have in my acquaintance an inquisitor. Nicholas, if you can introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Nicholas Highhill, Inquisitor. I'll pull out my badge. We're here to investigate.
Nice. Can you let us by or not?
And the man looks beyond you, and he sees Uza and says, "Uza, is this lot with you?" "Yes, they're the... This is the man that was summoned from the church, the Silver Flame. He's here to check it out, and to hopefully save my cat. You said something about 2 men dying?" "I can only assume that they're dead. They haven't come out yet. We didn't want to send any more in."
Hurry up and get in there before anyone else gets hurt.
And the man steps aside and says, "Very well, it's your funeral." And he...
You're the second god to say that to us before we barge into a dangerous situation, and you definitely won't be the last.
You know, there's going to be a lot of guards at our funerals.
Uza looks to each of you and he says, "I can't bring myself to go in. I will give you my key. If you please bring me my cat."
Very well.
And she places into your hand an old metal key with an ornate bit on the end. It looks like it's shaped like a book.
All right, let's walk in.
Okay. Samael, as you approach the door and put the key in, it turns, lock very, very easily. Like this key has been used many times in this lock. And the moment that you open the door, several feet ahead of you, you see a body.
Zara immediately runs up to it, checks the pulse.
Zara, don't run ahead of us like that. Stay in with the group. We'll go check it out.
All right.
He got hurt there. You could get hurt there too.
He is right. A healer is no good if they're dead or incapacitated.
Well,
Right.
I could I could heal you, but I'd rather not have to. Okay, I'm gonna proceed forward. I want Nicholas in behind me, Siegfried behind him, Zara behind him, and then Byron pulling up the rear. Byron, if you can, lock the door behind you. I don't want anybody stumbling in here by accident and getting hurt. Let's move over to this body and check it out.
So that order was Samael, Nicholas, Siegfried, Zara, Byron?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure.
Give me the key, will you, there, Sam?
I'm gonna pass the key over to Byron, and Byron, if you could, so we don't get surprised by anything. Nick, you do the same.
I'll lock the door and I'll look for a place to blend in.
Okay. It's
I'll
very...
look around and see if I see the kitty cat with perception.
Okay.
Siegfried, keep an eye out for that cat.
You see, Siegfried, scanning around the room, you see the several bookshelves lining the walls. You see a small desk area, which you assume to be the desk where Uza sits while folk are walking around her shop. You see even more rows and rows of bookshelves with books along the back of the facade, and several feet in front of you, you see a body, with the vestments of the watch, laying on the ground with a trail of blood. And the trail of blood appears to be rather large and somewhat moving towards a staircase that is immediately to the east wall, heading upwards.
Just by looking at him, can I tell whether or not he's...
Whether or not he's dead just by looking at him?
Yes. With my knowledge of healing and stuff.
Just giving him a cursory glance, his features are gaunt. His cheekbones are poking against the skin. His skin is yellow. And he looks very unhealthily thin. Like thinned. Like either he was unhealthy before he died or of some other means.
I would actually like to progress forward to where the man is at, take up a defensive position so that the group can pan out next to me, and let Zara go ahead and take a look at the man.
I want to start moving stealthily,
Okay.
and go into a hide.
Can I want to take a closer look with that description. Is there any, bite marks, I don't know, anything on his body that would be of note?
You can make an investigation check.
Alright. Zero. My...
He face plants into the puddle of blood.
So that's a
Yeah, they're
1.
both dead.
That was a natural 1 minus 1.
Yep.
Other than the very tallow complexion, a few superficial cuts here and there, You don't see anything of particular note. It is kind of strange to you with so few wounds that there would be such a large amount of blood on the ground next to the body. And as you look around, you see that the blood is scattered here and there. Some of it is splashed up against the side of one of the bookshelves, and it is stuck to the edges of the books, dripping down the shelves.
Looks like something strong, definitely. Let's keep.
What do you notice, Zara?
Well, this man seems to be unnaturally thin, unless he was like that in his life, but I have a feeling this creature, this monster might have, I don't know, sucked some sort of blood or poisoned him or something, but I can't find any evidence of it. Just a feeling.
Are you sure?
It seems to have been... No, I'm not sure.
Have you
Seems
checked
to
his
have
vitals?
thrown against the bookcase, but yes.
You notice that many of the bookcases look like books have been hurled and scooped off of shelves onto the floor. End over end, books open, splayed on the floor, their spines open. Some of the books look like they have been torn and shredded.